So I'm going to give you an overview on this Finnish M39. So I purchased this rifle back in 2010 at a gun show for around $200. It also came with about 50 rounds of ammunition. So if you don't know already, the Finnish M39 is basically a Finnish variant of the Russian mosin nagant or mosin nagant. So I'm not going to go that in depth on the history to keep this short and sweet, but Outdoor Hub has an awesome article on the entire history of these guns. But to summarize, the Finnish M39 was basically started life as a Russian M1891 mosin that was rebuilt into their liking. They pretty much swapped everything but the receiver and the bolt. So there were several makers of these that did the conversions, and this one in particular is a Seiko. Most of them only have one stamping on the stock. This one has two. I'll bring you over to this one real quick. Let's take a look at that. Here is the Seiko gear. Now, one of the things the Finnish did replace was the stock. This particular wood, I believe, is alpine birch. It does have some Finnish wear. No pun intended. Most of it's just faded here and there, but the wood near the butt plate has definitely seen better days. So aside from a new stock, the Finnish also rebarreled these. They gave it a 2-stage trigger and they improved the sights. I'm also under some speculation that they may have reworked the bolts or done some things to make them smoother. At least this one in particular is definitely not like your typical mosin. Of course, they're all kind of clunky by design, but as you can see, I opened that with very little effort. Of course, there's no telling how many times this has been shot, so it's probably just really broken in. So I am going to give a little bit of a trigger demo while I'm at it. So here's the take up. Alright, so I'm at the wall. I'm going to start applying pressure. So, now, I have never measured it, but I've seen other tests on YouTube that said this was around 3.5, 4 pounds. Well, the break was 3.5, 4 pounds. When I got it, it was actually much better, but I did take it apart at one point, and I noticed that the spring that's in charge of this first stage here was actually loose. It wasn't tightened up all the way. So what would happen is if you pulled this and let it go, the trigger would just flop. It had no spring pressure left on it. So once I tightened that up, the pull did get heavier. So I'd say it's probably around 5 pounds. Now, considering its age and all else considered, it still has a very clean break. There's like no sponginess to it at all. I was actually pulling it very slowly, and I don't even think I felt much creep at all. I'm gonna do it again. Yeah, so that is really crisp. M39 is not the only Finnish mosin nagant. There's the M24, M28, M2830, M27, and this is the M39. I think that's all of them. The desirable thing about the M39 is that if you know anything about 7.62 by 54 is that round can actually vary quite a bit. It can be anywhere from 308 to 312. I believe the bore on the M39 was meant to utilize the Soviet ammo, so they're 311. So I'm at a place where I can turn this to a better angle, but that's 6215. I have no idea what those corresponds to. There is some weird looking cross emblem on there. I'm not sure what that is. So somebody crudely scratched in some numbers on top of the bolt. I can't really make out what they are, but I don't think they match what's on the actual knob. Here's another stamping on top of the bolt. Again, I have no idea what that is. So here's the top of the receiver. 1942 is obviously the build date. Let me focus on that for you a little bit. There we are. I would imagine that's the serial number on top. And above it is another Seiko emblem. Okay, so now we're on the left side of the receiver if you were to have the bolt handle pointing to your right. So this is the SA mark. This means that it was owned by the Finnish Army. So if you have one of these and you want to know if it's a sneak rifle or if it was never issued, then that's your indicator right there. Not sure what that is. That looks like that was either... Yeah, I can't make out what that is. So we're right behind the base of the sights here, and I actually found another emblem of some sort. So here is, I believe, another stamping of the serial number, because this does match the number on top of the receiver. So on the side of the sights, towards the back, you will notice on the side you have these numbers, and apparently this is left over from the Tsar era of Russia, where they basically, this was their measurement system. It was called arshins. I'm not sure what it represents. It has something to do with the pace of a soldier or something like that, but these are not meters. The Finnish sights start at 150 yards, and they graduate out to, I believe, 1,000 yards, or I should say meters. Now, another cool thing is these sights actually can go to 2,000 meters. If you flip it up. So yeah, it starts at 1,200, 1,400, and goes all the way up to 2,000. Now, of course, the 2,000 yard feature is actually intended for volley fire. There's no way it would be realistic to make a shot that far with a rifle like this. The sights are also U-notch. I forget what the mosin nagant original sights are. They might be square notch or V-notch, but I wouldn't really say they're much different. They're just nicer. The front sight can be adjusted with a screwdriver instead of having to hammer it like drift sights like the mosins are. And the rear and the front sight both have elephant ears to protect them. The sling on this is made out of some kind of green leather, and it can be configured to either go on the bottom of the rifle or the side. And this is kind of cool. This is the seam where this two-piece stock was put together. There are a lot of different variations of this rifle in and of itself. Not all of these are splined the same way. Some of them are pointed, this particular is rounded, some of them are square. Not all of them have a pistol grip style stock either. There are some variants that actually still have a straight stock. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks for watching.